Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a term you've probably heard a lot, one that has absolutely shaped Bihar's politics for decades: Jungle Raj. We're going to unpack what it means by looking at the specific allegations of crime and corruption that define Lalu Prasad Yadav's time in power.
Okay, so let's jump right in with this quote, because it shows you why this is so much more than a history lesson. This idea of a dark era is still a central theme in elections today. It frames the choice for voters as, are we moving forward, or are we risking a slide back into chaos?
So what exactly is Jungle Raj? Well, it's the label given to this 15-year stretch from 1990 to 2005. Essentially, it became the go-to phrase to describe what many perceived as a total breakdown of law and order, a time when the state was supposedly overrun with crime and corruption.
So how did this idea get so cemented in people's minds? Well, it was really fueled by a few incredibly high-profile, sensational incidents that everybody was talking about. Incidents that painted a picture of a state that was completely out of control.
Let's kick things off with something that, frankly, sounds wild. We're talking about widespread reports of brazen extortion, all centered around the weddings of Lalu Yadav's own daughters back in the early 2000s.
And get this, the reports were incredibly specific. We're not talking about vague rumors here. We're talking about claims of brand new cars literally being driven off dealership lots and jewelry stores being pressured for goods. And when a powerful family member is named in these reports and you have government officials allegedly serving food to guests, well, that creates a really powerful image of power being misused right out in the open.
All right, now we move to a really disturbing case from the 90s. For many, this became the poster child for the idea that criminals with political connections could get away with anything. It sent absolute shockwaves across the state.
And the details here are just so important to understanding the public anger. The victim was the wife of a senior bureaucrat, a top government official, and the accused, someone with alleged ties to the ruling party. After a conviction was finally secured, it was then overturned years later by a higher court. You can just imagine the public outrage, right? It fed this deep sense that the system was broken, that there was no justice if powerful people were involved.
And then you have this mystery that's still unsolved to this day, the deaths of two young people, Shilpi Jain and Gautam Singh, back in 1999. This case was just drenched in suspicion right from the get-go.
So the real story here is this huge contradiction, right? The bodies were found at a property connected to the chief minister's own brother-in-law. The police quickly labeled it a suicide. But then the evidence, the post-mortem, told a completely different and frankly horrific story of sexual assault. The fact that this case is still unsolved is exactly why it's become this lasting symbol of the alleged lawlessness of the Jungle Raj era.
Okay, so we've talked about these shocking incidents that really shaped public perception. Now let's switch gears and look at the actual legal cases, the stuff that went from headlines to courtrooms and convictions. So, how did they pull this off? Honestly, it was a pretty simple idea, just on a massive scale. Imagine the state's animal husbandry department just making up bills for truckloads of animal feed that never existed. Officials would then illegally withdraw huge sums of public money against these fake receipts, and that money was then allegedly passed up the chain.
And this is where the rubber really meets the road. These weren't just accusations. The CBI, India's top investigative agency, dug in, and the result was multiple, separate convictions for Lalu Prasad Yadav. And look at the jail time. We're talking everything from 3.5 years all the way up to a staggering 14 years in just one of these cases.
And it wasn't just about jail time. There were hefty fines, too. I mean, 60 lakh rupees, and that was for just one of the cases, on top of that 14-year sentence. But believe it or not, the story doesn't end with the fodder scam. The legal battles continued, with newer allegations popping up from Lalu Yadav's time as India's railway minister between 2004 and 2009. You've got two big ones that are still making noise today. First, the Land for Jobs scam. The allegation there is pretty straightforward. People were allegedly given railway jobs in return for land. Then there's the IRCTC case, where hotel contracts were allegedly traded for prime real estate. The bottom line is, both are still live investigations, keeping this whole legacy in the news.
And just to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about with these newer cases. Wow. The Enforcement Directorate, or ED, has pegged the proceeds of crime in just the Land for Jobs case at 600 crore rupees. That is a massive number.
And you can see here how this investigation has been a slow, steady burn. It's not just one agency. You see the CBI kick things off, then the ED comes in with raids, charge sheets are filed, all leading up to getting the official green light to prosecute. It shows you this has been building for years, right up to today.
So, when you pull it all together, what is this Jungle Raj label really about? Well, it really stands on two legs. On one side, you have that powerful, gut-level public memory of crime and chaos. And on the other, you have this long, documented paper trail of legal cases and actual convictions.
And that brings us right back where we started. This quote shows you exactly how this history isn't history at all. It's a political tool, used right now to frame the stakes for voters by connecting the father's legacy directly to his sons. So that leaves us with this one big question to chew on, right? When the past feels this present, when these decades-old stories are still the main event, how does that actually shape the future of an entire state?